Back by popular demand here on the Buck Brief, our friend Matthew Marsden. He is the host of the Matthew Marsden Show, which is fantastic. He's also an actor. He was in that Rambo movie. He's got a poster of it behind him there, among many other movies, Black Hawk Down and other great things. Now he's a Texan, and he's got like 15 kids or something. How many kids do you have? A lot of kids.
1 million kids.
A million kids. Elon is like low level replenishing the population. You're way ahead of him with your million kids, so that's really good.
Yeah, well, we got to break up the gene pool a little bit. So
and you've got a golden retriever. You've got a golden retriever. I've got a Labradoodle. Golden retrievers, beautiful dog. Is there hair all over your house though?
Everywhere. My wife, like literally this week, my wife was like, "Look at all this hair," and I was like, "You wanted a golden retriever, so we bought one of those robots." And if it's only meant to go back to its charging station every I don't know how long, and it has to go back every time. And it's like, like a little mohair suit in there when it clears it up. So,
can I tell you my favorite news story of the week? I don't know if you've seen this or not, but I'll just tell you about it. So, do you see the clip of Jasmine Crockett, member of Congress from your state, buddy? All right, this is your state, who gets up there and starts reading off names of Republicans that got money from Jeffrey Epstein, only to find out after she has publicly done this that it's a different Jeffrey Epstein. It has nothing to do with the evil trafficking, child trafficking pedophile. And then she doubled down, after she's like, I didn't say it was that Jeffrey Epstein. I think she's kind of amazing, honestly. I think she is a great thing for America.
Folks who also took money from somebody named Jeffrey Epstein, as I had my team dig in very quickly: Mitt Romney, the NRCC, Lee Zeldin, George Bush, Win Red, McCain Palin, Rick Lazio. I just want to be clear. If this is the standard that we're going to make, just know we're going to expose it all. And just know that the FEC filings, they are available for everybody to review. This is absolutely ridiculous.
Do you want to correct the record on the people that you...
Listen, I never said that it was that Jeffrey Epstein. Just so that people understand, when you make a donation, your picture is not there. And because they decided to spring this on us in real time, I wanted the Republicans to think about what could potentially happen, because I knew that they didn't even try to go through the FEC. So my team, what they did is they Googled. And that is specifically why I said a Jeffrey Epstein. Unlike Republicans, I at least don't go out and just tell lies. Because it was not the same one, that's fine. But when Lee Zeldin had something to say, all he had to say was it was a different Jeffrey Epstein.
Well, yeah, I mean, Charlemagne, I'm not going to call him his full name, but Charlemagne thinks that he's the future of the Democratic Party. I'm like, bring it on, dude. She's dumber than a box of rocks, that woman. I mean, and the arrogance do you saw the, what's her name, Caitlin Clark, is it, on CNN? She was just sitting there looking at her like that, like, I can't get you out of this mess. You're just doubling down. All she had to do was say, listen, we messed up. But she's like, no, my staffers went, and what do you expect after 20 minutes? I'm like, you just don't talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't say anything. But I will say this, book as well. What it made me think of is, imagine if your name is Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, can you imagine,
I've been thinking about this too. By the way, there's a lot. I bet there's a bunch of, because Epstein is a pretty common name for Jewish Americans. I have a friend who's a woman who married a guy, so she has a hyphenated Epstein name. So like, there's a lot of Epsteins running around. I mean, I think there are plenty of people, especially who have had like a doctor or a dentist named Dr. Epstein.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine who he was from the Zambonis. He's a Zamboni, but his name isn't Zamboni. And he was like, and he's a doctor, he's an ER doctor. And he was like, I'm thinking about changing my name to Zamboni. I'm like, do you really want to go through that every single time you meet someone in the ER? Dr. Zamboni. Zamboni. No.
Wait, is that like the ice? He's like the ice machine guy? The ice clearing machine?
Yeah, the ice cleaner. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so you wouldn't want that, would you? But you certainly wouldn't want to be like Jeffrey Epstein. And how'd you get around that? Like, if you give your last name, you're going to be J. Epstein. It's just as bad. Do you call yourself Jeff or Jay? I mean, what do you do with that?
I don't even want to do this on Grok or whatever, but I'm kind of curious. Like, doesn't it make you think? Are there does anyone have the last name Hitler anymore? You know what I mean? Is there anyone alive with the last name Hitler still? Like, is there someone who's like, look, I come from 15 generations of Hitler, and it wasn't that Hitler, and you know what I'm saying? Like, is that name just dead forever now?
Well, I think I was actually saying this the other day. It's like, do you remember when the first Omen movie came out? When the first Omen movie came out, nobody was like, do not call your son Damien. Like, you can't call your son the son of the devil.
Oh, the Omen. Omen. Yeah. You say it funny, British man. The Omen. Yeah.
The Omen. The Almond.
The almond. It sounds like you're talking about the little nut that people eat, but yes, the Omen.
Have you seen the movie The Almond? It's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a bit nuts.
You can make milk of it, apparently.
Hey.
I didn't know that was gonna happen. I mean almonds. You can make milk out of almonds. But yes. So the where were we? You just threw me off here with this. Yeah,
we're talking about Epstein and almonds.
I grew up with I knew a kid named I knew a kid growing up named Damien. I think that there's people still have that name, although it's a lot less than you would think. And it's interesting because I feel like in English you'll never come across someone whose name is Jesus, but in Latin America, Jesus, all over the place.
Yeah, it's a weird phenomenon, isn't it?
Yeah. I do think that name change makes sense for some people when something like this happens. Like I think that if your name was, let's say you're a guy in the Midwest, and you're just doing your thing, you run the local hardware store and you're a salt of the earth kind of guy, and you wake up one day and you read the newspaper and you go, oh, I'm not the only Jeff Dahmer out there. Like, I think that maybe maybe you decide I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to go with my mom's maiden name or something. You
got to, haven't you? I mean, you can't stay with that name. It would be interesting to see if anyone turned around and they said, no, listen, I'm proud of my dad's name, Hitler. And because
that's a tough
you know what I mean? Because he's got to have had cousins, or it's
so
not
here's
like,
the thing. I think if you're Swedish, you can get away with Adolphus, which is spelled very much like, I think there are Adolphuses walking around, which is basically Adolf with an us. I don't know, is the name Adolf perpetually retired now? Like, can you not name your kid? I'm sure people are Googling right now. There probably are Adolfs walking around, and they're just like, I'm taking this name back from the bad guy.
Yeah, and I mean, what is the time period? When does it become okay?
Although I have to say, I think Jeffrey Epstein's one of the toughest ones now. You know what I mean? Like that's not quite Adolf Hitler level, but I mean Jeffrey Epstein that's a tough name to handle. So anyway, that was the Congresswoman from your state. Do you think she's going to run for Senate? By the way, are you hearing that from your people in Texas?
Please, I hope she does. I hope she does. And that her whole demeanor is a complete act, right? You've seen her when she was running initially. She was very respectful, very softly spoken, very smart, and then she's like kind of adopted this weird kind of ghetto, attitude.
A persona, yes.
As an actor, it's kind of quite impressive.
Yeah, well, there you go. There's that. At least you can respect that. Our sponsor here is Paradigm Press. Look, I think we're entering a once-in-a-century opportunity for Main Street investors. President Trump is going to free the markets from Washington red tape, job-killing regulations. We're going to see life-changing stock market gains in defense, finance, healthcare, energy, manufacturing. We're talking hundreds, maybe thousands of explosive opportunities out there as artificial superintelligence transforms the economy. But here's the truth. A lot of Americans are going to miss out on the possibility of making a fortune. I don't want that to happen to you. That's why I've launched a new e-newsletter, Money and Power. For too long, insiders have locked away the biggest opportunities behind closed doors for themselves. I'm busting that wide open, working with a phenomenal team of financial analysts and stock pickers. Go check this out. Go to offair25.com right now. That's offair25.com. Sign up, become a subscriber. It's a small fee. You're going to see it's totally worth it. Offair25.com, paid for by Paradigm Press. All right, movie man, let's talk movies for a second.
Right on.
I think recently, I forget whatever the holiday was that was the most recent. Was it? I don't know. It was a weekend. Oh, it was the Halloween weekend. Halloween. I saw. Yeah, because the receipts and everything have been. So Halloween weekend, I think they said there were no new movie, like wide release movies, which you would think, at least for a horror genre, like that's what, no new wide release movies. And it was the lowest box office receipts in like 40 years or something, basically in the modern era of movies. Hollywood just seems like it's dead. What happens now?
Well, I mean, hopefully conservatives will get in there and start investing in movies. I mean, there was one recently. I don't know if you've seen Frankenstein. Have you seen that?
It's good. It's a good.
It's
yeah.
really
It's,
good.
well, I'm a big Guillermo del Toro fan in general, so I was willing. And the fact that it stayed pretty true to the original novel, unlike the other movie with like the bolts in the neck and the guy who's playing Frankenstein.
Bela Lugosi one, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so you agree with me? You like the Frankenstein movie?
Oh, I thought it was great, but I think that they made a mistake and Netflix didn't put it out. I mean, they did a limited release for the Oscars, for Oscar consideration, but they didn't. I think that would have had legs if they would have put it out, because it's a really fantastically made film, and I would have gone to see it at the cinema, but I really, really enjoyed it, and I think that it's one of those things where if you just keep the politics and the agenda out of the material, people will go and see it. So it'd be interesting to see the numbers on Netflix, like what they did with that film, because it's got to be the biggest movie that they've done in quite some time. But look, the movies are the American art form, Buck, and we can't abandon them. And what has happened, I think, is that what the left has done, mainly because it's been funded by the big theme parks and other things that are ancillary to actually making money on the films, is they've just said, listen, we're going to push this agenda. We're going to pump this stuff out there. It doesn't matter whether it makes money, but we're going to affect the culture and change the culture by normalizing certain kinds of behavior and being very anti-American. And they're still doing it. I can tell you, I got a couple of offers recently for something, and I couldn't do it morally. And I'm like, why are you still pushing these agendas? But the alternative is, we don't have anything on our side that we're putting out, that we have billionaires that could turn around and say, go and make this movie. I'm not looking at a return on investment right now in cash, but I'll give you a generational investment that we'll see later on down the line. Like, can you imagine a world without It's a Wonderful Life? And that didn't have a good return on investment financially initially. And that had one of the biggest actors in the world and one of the biggest directors in the world. But it's influenced us for generations, and we really need to start thinking like that.
But to me, it seems like like Apple Studios did the F1 movie, which I heard people say was actually pretty good. I didn't see it. There are places that have the budgets and the capability to make the great movies that we all grew up with and we're seeing, but it's just, are the economics of it so different now? Because I feel like my kid's 6 months old now, and by the time he's grown up enough that we can watch movies together, I'm going to be introducing him to movies almost the way that people showed like historical artifacts. Be like, hey man, let's watch movies from the 90s. Let's watch Black Hawk Down. That came out in what, 98 or 2000? Like, that's going to be
2001.
Yeah, 2001. I mean, by the time my kid's old enough, that's going to be 30 something, 40 something years old.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's really concerning because, like I said, movies are the American art form. And the other thing is movies actually define the way culture kind of sees the world. So by the time that your son's like in 18 years old, people won't be necessarily going and diving deep in the books like we were. Because if you think about it, like certainly for me, Gen X, we're the last kind of generation that is pre-internet and pre-woke. And so if you think now, like Black Hawk Down is 25 years old. I mean, that is unbelievable to me. It's quarter of a century old. So again, if you add that again, it's going to be like, by the time your son can watch it 18, 19, 20, it's going to be pushing half a century old. And it's going to be like us. I saw something the other day that when Raiders of the Lost Ark came out, it was talking about the 1930s, and it's equivalent of us looking back to Black Hawk Down right now. Pretty much like it's 30s, 40s, 50s. we're not producing anything right now that is particularly engaging. When good stuff comes out, people gravitate towards it, and we're missing a massive opportunity on our side, because all you've got to do is make good films. And you referenced the F1 movie, that was Kaczynski. He's a terrific filmmaker, and everyone wants to work with him so he can get things green lit. And that's the economics of it, because Apple will look and they'll say, okay, well, he did, Kaczynski did Edge of Tomorrow. I've watched that 1,000 times, and it's a great film. So he makes really good movies, so they'll bet on him. But the majority of directors and the majority of actors are liberal. So when they're looking at the finances on it, saying, am I going to get a return on investment? They have to go and get names. And all those names are liberal. So those liberal actors and directors will make the movies that they want to make, which in turn are, for the most part, liberal.
Yeah.
So we don't have a seat at the table.
It's I still, this is a huge hole, and there should be opportunities here that could be taken for, I don't know. I mean, I said a long time ago, we need a billionaire who's just trying to save free speech to buy one of these platforms, and then Elon bought X. We need somebody who wants to create great content that Americans and the whole world can love again, and that I think it might just be somebody who's willing to write the check, because right now, yeah, Netflix just turns out woke trash day in and day out. It's very frustrating, and especially on the series and stuff. But hold on, our sponsor is Preborn. You know, there's not another profit that does more to save the lives of unborn children than Preborn, and Preborn is doing this day in and day out. There's so many Planned Parenthood clinics and so many people that are being pushed toward that, and that can never be taken back if that choice for abortion is made. Preborn welcomes pregnant moms into their clinics and says, hey, let's try something else for you. Let's introduce you to your baby via an ultrasound. That ultrasound costs just $28. And after the mom has that ultrasound, the chance that she will choose life for that baby is higher dramatically. And so many lives are saved in this way. So please help sponsor an ultrasound for one of these women. Pick up your phone, dial pound 250, and say the keyword baby. That's pound 250, say baby, or donate securely at preborn.com/buck, preborn.com/BUCK. Sponsored by Preborn. Is there anything else that I should go and see and watch? You said Frankenstein is good. I agree with you on that one. That's actually a movie, a rare movie that people should take the time to go and see. Anything else that you can give us? Any recs for the weekend?
Yeah, I watched a movie that's pretty old. I say pretty old, it's a few years old, called The Outfit. And I really enjoyed it. It was
about
like
the tailor in Chicago?
Yeah.
I saw that. It was good. That was good. Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. By the way, my math was off. It's the equivalent, I was saying now, if we're looking back to the 80s, by the way, the equivalent of when Raiders came out to when it was depicting the area that it was depicting. But yeah, I watched a movie yesterday called The Little Things with Denzel Washington, and it started off really, really well and just kind of like went a little bit mushy. But I think that, you know, anything with Denzel Washington in is really good. So it's worth a watch.
All right, man. Thank you so much for joining, and talk to you guys all next week. Shields high.